Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Sea Otter exhibit here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. My name is Erin. I'm back behind many of you up here on the mezzanine level, but we have just been joined on exhibit by two of our Sea Otter care staff, so that's where the real excitement is going to be. And folks, if you are down below the mezzanine level, don't worry, you can get a good view as well. Just check out the screens that are up above the exhibit windows to see what's going on up top. So the excitement really has begun here at the Sea Otter exhibit because we have started this feeding, training, and enrichment session for the Sea Otters today. And in fact, we've got Ivy, who is just headed up onto the deck with one of our trainers, that is Jess up there. And we have Rosa in the water. Now, I know they're both pretty blonde sea otters, so it can be a little tough to tell them apart. Oh my goodness, Ivy is showing off her balancing skills today. But we've got Rosa that is kind of a little over toward the windows on the right, and she is actually our blondest otter. So you can kind of tell the difference just a little bit that way. But this training session is going to be asking the sea otters to be doing a lot of different activities for a number of different reasons. Now we've got Ivy back in the water, and as our sea otters are moving around, the trainers can really keep a good eye on them, make sure that they are moving like they should be, and that keeping an eye just kind of on their general health. A number of the other behaviors that we are asking them to do are health related as well. We want to make sure that, they look good and they are acting normally. And we also want them to be able to participate in their own health care as well. So we might see a number of behaviors that have to do with, say, an annual vet exam or something like that. And the reason that we do these behaviors a lot with the sea otters is because we want them to be normal and very well practiced behaviors when it comes time for one of those exams. So we'll be seeing them doing a whole bunch of different things. In fact, we've got Ivy, who's going to be doing a little bit of what we call target practice over there up on the rock. So our trainer there has a target that she's asking Ivy to put her nose to and hold still just for a moment while she gets some eye drops. And again, this is something that is practiced over and over again so that they are very well practiced at it. And when it does need to happen, well, they can do it at a moment's notice. Oh, and she dove right back there into the otter spa again. So we don't ever force our otters to do anything, just like with any of the animals that we train here at the aquarium. We want them to participate by their own choice. So we use something called positive reinforcement for that training. Now, positive reinforcement is just a little bit of a reward that the sea otters get when they have done the behavior that they have been asked to do. So this is something that works with perhaps a dog or a cat. If you've ever tried to train a dog or a cat at home, it also works with us humans too. If anybody wants me to help them move, all they have to do is make sure I get a pizza afterwards, and I will move all the boxes that you want me to. So that positive reinforcement in this case happens to be a little bit of food. We have a number of different food items that are going to the sea otters today. Oh, and we've also got Rosa that is working on those eye drops as well, practicing that, putting her nose to the buoy and holding still just for a moment. You might recognize some of the food items that are going to the otters. We have some clam tongue. We also have some squid and some very lovely shrimp that I'm sure any of my seafood fans out there would love to see on our own plates. Now, these are food items that very closely mimic the food items that sea otters would be getting out in the wild. They are invertebrate specialists, which means that they are eating all sorts of different food items, things that might be in hard shells or things without backbones. Some of their favorites are things like abalone, sea urchins, and even fat innkeeper worms that they might find up in the muddy channels of places like Elkhorn Slough. So they eat a wide variety of foods out there in the ocean. And many of those things are packaged in, again, those hard shells. And they have to puzzle out how to get into those hard shells. And oftentimes, they will use tools to help them do just that. In fact, oftentimes they will use things like a rock to crack into those hard shells. And if they happen to find a favorite rock, one that they really like, they can even carry it around with them. They have little pockets under their front arms where they can store those favorite rocks to use as they are feeding out there in the kelp forest and out in the ocean. So part of that behavior that Ivy did earlier of standing up and balancing was a really important part of her daily life on exhibit. When we have sea otters here on exhibit, we don't give them those things that are packaged in hard shells because as tool users, they will use any tool that they possibly have to their advantage, including our lovely soft acrylic windows, which we found out the hard way scratch very easily. So we do some other things that enrich their behavior on a day-to-day basis. But when sea otters are back behind the scenes, we are able to give them things that are packaged in hard shells. We can give them those rocks to use as tools. But when they come back on exhibit, we want to make sure that they're not bringing anything back with them stored in those little underarm pockets. And so we'll ask them to stand up. We might have them put their paws up in the air and show off that great balance that they have. And anything that they are carrying with them will fall right out of those pockets when they put their front legs up. So again, that balance is a really great behavior and also helps us to make sure that Ivy is doing everything that she should be, just as she should be moving. So over on the other side, over toward the right, we've got Rosa at a different station now, and Courtney is going to be working with her on some touch behaviors. We do a lot of touch with the sea otters, and we want to make sure that that's something that they are very comfortable with, both for their safety as well as the safety of our trainers. Oh, and Ivy is working with one of those toys there. I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But again, we're making sure that any of the health-related behaviors that we might need to ask our sea otters to do are very, very well practiced. Now, we talked about some of the enrichment that sea otters might be doing, and because we don't give the sea otters things in hard shells while they're here on exhibit, we want to make sure that they still have that natural behavior of trying to puzzle into a particular food item. So what Ivy is working with now is a little toy that might have some food stuffed inside of it. This is very much like dog toys that you can stuff a treat inside. And she has to turn it over, figure out where exactly she can get that little piece of food out. We also, we give them this to them for enrichment, something that keeps their bodies active as well as their minds. And on occasion, we want to make sure that they can give those toys back to us whenever we ask for them. So our trainer, Jess, is practicing some recall with Ivy and asking her to grab that toy and then to give it back to her, or hit it on the rock work there as she has just done and gotten that little bit of positive reinforcement as a reward. So we have been talking an awful lot about different kinds of food here. I'm sure that some of us, like me, are getting hungry as well. And we've just seen the last bit of that food go to the sea otters, and the trainers are heading back behind the scenes. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about why food is so important for sea otters, come on over and chat with me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up on microphone here, but I'll be right over here to answer any questions that you may have. Once again, my name is Erin, folks. Thank you so very much for joining me here today, and have a lovely afternoon at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.